pause for a moment and listen. Just listen. There it is, that low hum of enough. You know the sound. It's the one that says, "You're doing fine." It feels good, doesn't it? Safe, predictable, like your favorite pair of socks. But what if that very comfort is keeping you small? What if good enough isn't a finish line, it's a ceiling? And worse, what if we built that ceiling ourselves? We humans are wired to survive, not soar. Our brains prefer the familiar, like an old song on repeat. Why? Because change is risky. New things might fail, and failure hurts more than success thrills us. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman called this loss aversion. Basically, our minds fear losing $10 more than they enjoy gaining $20. So, instead of dreaming bigger, we settle. Instead of building rockets, we just repaint the same old house. Think about travel before the automobile. For centuries, people focused on better saddles, faster horses, smoother wheels. Then came the idea of a self-driving machine, laughed at as fantasy. Same with Kodak. In 1975, they invented the digital camera and buried it. Why? Because film was profitable, safe, enough. They missed the future because they were too busy protecting the past. From the time we're kids, we're taught to color inside the lines, follow the rules, stay on the path, be realistic. As if dreaming big is childish, naive. But here's the thing. History didn't get made by realists. It got made by rebels, visionaries, people who looked at the world and asked, what if? Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. Not the critic, not the planner, the one in it. Getting dirty, falling, rising, trying again." Michelangelo put it even better. The greatest danger is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. Reaching low feels like winning, but it's really just settling. So how do we break free from the orbit of enough? It's not just ambition, it's perspective. Most people try to optimize, save 10%, gain 5%. But some people don't just climb the ladder, they build a new one, like when smartphones came along. Early mobiles were just portable phones. Smartphones changed everything. They redefined what it meant to be connected. They didn't improve the system, they rewrote it. Big leaps rarely come from a lightning bolt. They come from curiosity, from slow-burning thoughts, from dots that connect only in hindsight. Steve Jobs once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." So trust the journey, even when it feels random, even when it feels lost. Because every book you read, every mistake you make, every late-night thought, it's all stacking up, waiting for the spark. And this mindset, it's not just for Silicon Valley founders or billionaires. Harriet Tubman had no money, no power, just a dream, and the courage to act on it. She didn't just want freedom for herself, she wanted to tear the whole system apart. She wasn't improving chains, she was breaking them. And she did it not with weapons, but with vision. Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Imagine a world where gravity is optional, where flying isn't magic, it's design. That's the 100x mindset. It doesn't ask, how can I tweak this? It asks, what if none of these rules were real? Because often, they aren't. Limits are just misunderstandings waiting to be unlearned. The extraordinary is always whispering. All you have to do is listen. And maybe, finally, leap. What if enough was never the goal? There's a kind of comfort in enough. You know it. That feeling when you say, this is good enough. Not too bad, not too hard, just okay. But here's the thing about good enough. It has weight, like gravity. And if you're not careful, that pull keeps you from flying. Some people don't just accept gravity, they fight it. They build escape velocity. They don't just dream, they build dreams. Even when everyone says they're crazy. Because progress doesn't come from small steps. It comes from leaps. Big, messy, uncertain ones. Steve Jobs once said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." And he was one of them. He didn't want a better MP3 player. He wanted the iPod. Didn't want a better phone. He wanted the iPhone. Didn't want a better computer. He wanted something you could carry in your hand and still feel like magic. People laughed, called him stubborn, unrealistic. But he wasn't trying to tweak the system. He was trying to rewrite it. Think of the Wright brothers. Everyone else was improving balloons. They were building a machine heavier than air and making it fly. No one believed them. But they didn't care. They weren't climbing the ladder of innovation. They built a rocket and launched straight to the top. That's what 100x visionaries do. They don't aim for 10% better. They aim for 1,000% different. Elon Musk is another one of those gravity fighters. When he started SpaceX, people said, "A private company launching rockets? Please." But now, SpaceX does more launches in a year than most countries do in a decade. They brought down the cost of space travel by more than 80%. And they're building Starship, not for Earth, but for Mars. Musk says, "I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary." And he believes it. Greatness isn't just for geniuses or billionaires. It's for anyone willing to chase an idea bigger than fear. Now, not everything happens in tech or space. Sometimes it happens in hearts. Oprah Winfrey didn't just host a talk show. She changed how media connects with people. She stopped performing for the camera and started connecting through it. Her show became a place where people felt seen, where stories mattered more than ratings. She didn't add bells and whistles to the same old formula. She rewrote the entire script, and she did it with empathy. Oprah Winfrey. The biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. That quote didn't just inspire her, it inspired millions. And sometimes these kinds of visions move nations. John F. Kennedy stood up in 1962 and said, "We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard." He didn't have the tech. He didn't have the money. He didn't even have the full support of the public. But he had belief. And belief is contagious. That speech lit a fire under a country, and we landed on the moon 8 years later. Leaders like Lincoln and Kennedy didn't follow the rules. They redefined them. Lincoln fought to end slavery when the whole country was divided. He also pushed for the transcontinental railroad, something many called impossible. But he saw further. He aimed higher, and history remembers him not for playing it safe, but for daring to lead boldly. So what's your gravity? What's holding you back? Is it fear, doubt, or maybe just the word enough? Because real progress doesn't happen when we settle. It happens when we leap. When we look at the world and ask, what if the rules were made to be broken? What if I'm capable of more than I think? What if my dream isn't crazy? It's just ahead of its time. The future belongs to those who believe in it first. And sometimes, that someone is you. Don't aim for better. Aim for different. Start over from zero. First principles, thinking. Most people copy what's already been done. They follow the rules. They tweak things a little. But visionaries, they tear it all down and start from scratch. That's called first principles thinking. Think of Elon Musk when he looked at electric car batteries. Everyone else was trying to make them cheaper by doing the usual. Musk asked, "What is this thing made of? What are the raw materials? How much should it really cost?" Suddenly, he wasn't just improving batteries. He was rebuilding them, bottom up. Tesla dropped battery costs by over 50% using this method, because instead of working within limits, he redefined them. As Musk said, boil things down to the most fundamental truths, then reason up from there. That's not problem solving, that's world building. Burn the boats, the no option, B mentality. In 1519, Cortés landed in Mexico with a small army. And right there on the shore, he burned every single ship behind him. No escape, no backup plan, just total commitment. This isn't just dramatic, it's psychological genius. When there's no way back, your brain switches. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" You start asking, "How will I make this happen?" The same happened during the Manhattan Project. No plan B, no time for doubt. They had to build the bomb before Hitler did. And they did. Psychologists call it grit. We can call it hunger. Eric Thomas once shouted, "When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful." That's the level of focus that changes history. Find the lever. Asymmetric opportunities. Hard work is great, but leverage? That's the cheat code. Some inputs create massive outputs, like software. One line of code can scale to billions of users for almost nothing. Airbnb didn't buy hotels. They used people's homes. A tiny idea with huge power. Naval Ravikant puts it perfectly. Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum, and I shall move the world. Today, your lever could be code, content, community, or capital. And the internet? That's your gravity-defying machine. So don't just work hard. Work with leverage. Dream bigger. Because big dreams are easier to scale. Here's a secret. Big visions are easier to grow than small ones. Why? Because they inspire. They magnetize talent, money, momentum. Google didn't set out to build a better search engine. They wanted to organize the world's information. That's not just bigger, it's bolder. And that kind of mission pulls people in. Venture capitalists know this. They're not betting on safe ideas. They're chasing the one-in-a-million shot that could change everything. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry put it beautifully. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood. Teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. That's the job of a leader. Not to manage tasks, to ignite purpose. So how do you build the impossible? You start with truth. You commit like there's no other path. You find leverage that multiplies your effort. And you dream so big, it scares you. Because when you combine these forces, you don't just grow, you explode. You become the kind of person who doesn't just chase the future, you build it. Impossible is just a word. You get to rewrite it. You've seen it. That big dream, that fire in your chest. Maybe you wrote it down. Maybe you told someone. Maybe you even started building something real. But now you're here, standing at the edge. And between you and that vision, a deep, wide, terrifying chasm. This isn't just nerves. It's not even fear of failure. It's fear of being seen. Fear of trying hard and falling short. Fear of what people will say. Our brains are wired to protect us, not just from danger, but from shame, from being laughed at, from looking too ambitious. And when you step outside your comfort zone, your brain screams, "Turn back." What if you fail? Studies show most people don't quit because they can't do it. They quit because they can't handle how it feels. One study found that fear of embarrassment or regret is more powerful than even financial loss. Imagine leaving a stable job to chase something bigger. Before you even write your resignation letter, your mind starts fighting you. What if I'm wrong? What if everyone thinks I'm crazy? And yet, as Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Doing nothing guarantees no impact. And if you're chasing something life-changing, then doing nothing is the real failure. Doubt doesn't just live inside you. It shows up in other people too. People who care, people who don't get it, people who want you safe. Or sometimes people who just don't believe. And those voices, they cut deep. Walt Disney was called Walt's Folly when he pitched Disneyland. Everyone laughed. His own brother doubted him. But he kept going. He borrowed money. He mortgaged his future. He believed when no one else did. Thomas Edison. He didn't see failure. He saw steps forward. I have not failed 10,000 times. I have successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. That's resilience, not stubbornness. Clarity. Steve Jobs once said, "Don't settle." If you haven't found what you love, keep looking. Because when the world tells you no, only love for your mission will keep you walking forward. But maybe the biggest trap isn't failure or doubt. It's playing small. Setting goals so safe, so easy, they give you a hit of dopamine, but never move the needle. Each little win makes you feel good, but over time, it numbs you. You stop dreaming big. You start patching the same old boat instead of building a new one. And this is how companies die, how people stall out, how potential gets buried under busy work. Take Blockbuster, once unstoppable. They ignored Netflix, thought it was a fad. Netflix didn't tweak the model. They exploded it. DVDs by mail, streaming, original content, massive leaps. Blockbuster, gone, because they played it safe. In the 1960s, a company could stay on the S&P 500 for 60 years. Now, barely 20. Why? Because the rules changed. Speed increased. Innovation became survival. Bill Gates once said, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." Criticism, failure, resistance. These aren't your enemies. They're your mirror, your wake-up call. Use them. Let them shape you. Let them push you forward. Yes, the path to 100x is lonely. Yes, it's scary. Yes, people will doubt you. But it's also the only path where the reward matches the risk, where the stakes matter, where you finally find out what you're made of. So let fear sharpen you. Let critics fuel you. Because the only thing worse than failing at something huge is never daring to try. The chasm is not a wall, it's a leap. You've seen it. You've made it this far. You've stared down fear. You've leapt across the chasm. You've built something bold, something bigger than you thought possible. Now, what? Because reaching 100x isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a new way to live. We used to think success was about numbers, money, followers, metrics, milestones. But real success? It's not how much you have. It's how much you give back. Not just what you achieve, but who else you lift along the way. Take Dr. Muhammad Yunus. He didn't want to give handouts to the poor. He wanted to change the system. He created microfinance, giving tiny loans to women who banks said were too risky. Today, that idea has lifted over 300 million people in more than 100 countries. That's not success. That's legacy. Nelson Henderson once said, "The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit." That's 100x thinking, not chasing applause, planting seeds for tomorrow. A 100x life doesn't end with one win. It's not a sprint, it's a mindset. Winston Churchill put it best: success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Every win becomes fuel. Every setback becomes data. You keep going, not because it's easy, but because it matters. This is the infinite game, where every milestone is just a launch pad for the next leap. Traditional goal setting, it's like trying to climb Everest in flip-flops. To live a 100x life, you need moonshots, goals that sound ridiculous to most people. Here's the trick. Whatever your goal is now, multiply it by 10. Don't aim to improve sales by 10%. Aim to create something that changes your whole industry. Think bigger, bolder, more wildly. Because when you go big, you stop competing with others. You start creating your own game. In a world that moves this fast, standing still is falling behind. PwC asked top CEOs, "What's holding companies back?" 77% said, "Skills gaps." Translation: people aren't learning fast enough. So here's your challenge. Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay curious. Be willing to unlearn what you thought you knew, because the future belongs to those who adapt. Jim Rohn nailed it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So ask yourself, are they dreamers or doubters? Builders or complainers? Do they pull you up or drag you down? Look at the PayPal mafia. They didn't just build one company, they sparked a generation of innovation. Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, YouTube. All born from a shared culture of audacity. So choose your circle carefully, because boldness is contagious. When you dare to think 100x, it doesn't just change your life. It changes everyone around you. Apple didn't just make a better phone. They changed how we live, work, connect, and even dream. One bold step can spark billions more. That's the ripple effect of audacity. And that's how you shape the future. The next chapters of human progress, they'll be written by people who refuse to play it safe. Solving climate change, curing diseases, even reaching Mars. These aren't pipe dreams. They're projects being built right now, and they'll only happen if we dare to think beyond limits. The World Economic Forum says emerging tech, AI, biotech, quantum computing, could solve some of humanity's biggest challenges, but only if we dare to lead with vision. So don't hold back. As Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. This is the spirit of the 100x life. Not chasing winds, creating waves. Live boldly, leave ripples. We've journeyed through the powerful currents of ambition, the rapids of innovation, and the deep waters of human potential. Each step shaping not just what we achieve, but who we become. The 100x mindset isn't a finish line. It's a way of living boldly, questioning limits, and constantly reaching beyond what's comfortable. Your vision, once scattered like rain across the earth, now gathers into a mighty river, wild, focused, and ready to carve new paths through the world. That power doesn't need to be limitless in form to be limitless in impact. Sometimes the greatest force comes from what you contain, refine, and direct with purpose. So go forward, not just to grow, but to redefine. The universe doesn't wait for small steps. It leans in when you leap.